My name is Anna, and I'm a 62-year-old housewife. I've been married to my husband, Tom, for nearly 30 years. We have one son, Sam, who is 28 years old and thriving in his career. Last year, he married a wonderful woman named Alina, and the two of them are very happy together. With Sam now grown and Tom approaching retirement in just a few months, I had been looking forward to the new chapter of our lives, a time when we could finally relax and enjoy life together. As I reflected on our years together, I acknowledged that Tom and I had our share of arguments, but we always managed to work through them and stay together. I was already thinking about how we would navigate Tom's retirement and what plans we might make for the future. However, just as I was settling into these thoughts, Tom completely shattered my world. One evening, while we were having dinner, Tom casually announced that he wanted a divorce. At first, I thought I had misunderstood him, or maybe my hearing was failing me, so I asked him to repeat himself. He confirmed it. He wanted a divorce and claimed he was tired of being with me. I was in shock, unable to comprehend what I was hearing. When I pressed him for an explanation, he coldly told me to be quiet and start packing my things. He said he was planning to leave in 3 months and expected me to be out of the house by then. I was completely taken aback. This wasn't just unexpected, it was a complete betrayal of everything I thought our life was about. I tried to argue, to understand, but Tom was uninterested. He pulled out divorce papers that he had secretly prepared and handed them to me. The realization that he had been planning this behind my back was like a punch to the gut. I was speechless. Tom, the man I thought I would spend the rest of my life with, was now telling me that he didn't love me anymore. He said he found me old and unattractive, and didn't want to live with me any longer. His words were devastating. Although I no longer have romantic feelings for Tom, I still care about him deeply. We've shared a life together for so long, and I never imagined he could be so cruel. To make matters worse, as a housewife, I've never worked outside the home, so I have no means of supporting myself if Tom leaves. I feel trapped, both emotionally and financially, but Tom showed no concern for my predicament. After handing me the papers, he left the house without another word. Tom has always been somewhat distant. He never helped with household chores and rarely said anything kind. But I had accepted that as part of our generation's traditional roles. He used to say that I would take care of the home while he would protect and provide for us. I had envisioned us enjoying retirement together, perhaps traveling or just spending quiet days at home. But now, with Tom's sudden desire for divorce, I feel abandoned and deeply hurt. I know we need to discuss this thoroughly, but Tom refuses to engage. He didn't even come home that night, leaving me alone with my thoughts and fears. When he finally returned on Saturday morning, he went straight to his room and told me not to disturb him because he was tired. His behavior was so unlike him, even though we've had our share of disagreements. He'd never acted this way without a clear reason. Desperate to understand what had gone wrong, I waited until he woke up later that afternoon and we finally spoke over dinner. I told Tom that I couldn't accept a divorce just because he claimed he was tired of me or no longer loved me. These are excuses that might be used by a young couple in the heat of the moment, but after nearly 30 years of marriage, I expected a more substantial reason for such a drastic decision. Tom's response was even more hurtful. He repeated that he couldn't stand being with me anymore because I was old and unattractive. He kept saying cruel things, insisting that he had been patient but could no longer tolerate living with me. He even had the audacity to suggest that he was being a gentleman for putting up with me for as long as he had. No matter how much I tried to talk to him, Tom wouldn't offer a reasonable explanation for his decision. He simply repeated his harsh words over and over again. Without understanding the true reason behind his desire for a divorce, I felt powerless to make any decisions about our future, about whether to leave the house, or how to move forward. For years, I had put up with Tom's aloofness because I was committed to our marriage, but now, facing his arrogance and dismissiveness, I realized that I couldn't continue like this. Tom, however, seemed completely uninterested in resolving things. He ignored my attempts to have a serious discussion and instead lay on the sofa watching TV, telling me to pack my bags and leave. Then, he completely shut down, refusing to speak to me at all. I'm left feeling lost, trying to make sense of what's happening to my life and wondering what I'm supposed to do next. Tom started acting distant and completely disregarded my attempts to communicate with him. He began avoiding me, even going so far as to ignore the meals I prepared, opting instead to eat out or buy convenience foods. Despite my efforts to engage him in conversation on different occasions, he simply refused to listen. Each time he came home from work, Tom would act as though I didn't exist, spending entire days ignoring me. This left me feeling isolated and confused, wondering if there was anything I could do to fix the situation. While I was pondering this, I received a call from our son, Sam. He greeted me warmly, saying, "Hi Mom, I'm planning to celebrate your birthday with Selena. We're thinking of going out for sushi with Dad. The four of us together, how does that sound?" Hearing Sam's voice brought a rush of emotions, and I couldn't hold back my tears. It felt as if a heavy burden had been lifted off my shoulders. Sam, surprised by my reaction, asked why I was crying. Through my tears, I explained that Tom had asked for a divorce, and I was at a loss to understand why. Upset by this news, Sam decided to come over that night to confront his father. When he arrived, he directly asked Tom, "Dad, what's going on? Why are you asking for a divorce? We don't understand your reasons." Tom was caught off guard by Sam's unexpected visit and asked why he was there. Sam explained, "I heard everything from Mom. We're confused about why you want a divorce." Tom turned to me and said, "You told Sam? You're the one who's been avoiding me and refusing to talk. If we had communicated, we could have worked things out." Sam, clearly frustrated, responded, "Dad, I don't agree with you. I don't understand why you want a divorce. Please, take your time and explain." Thanks to Sam's persistence, Tom finally sat down to talk, but he stubbornly refused to provide a clear reason, only saying that he was tired of the situation. I was deeply frustrated by Tom's attitude, especially in front of Sam. Sam, too, was upset, feeling that Tom no longer cared about our family time. I tried to remind Tom of the good times we had shared as a family when Sam was a child. I even brought out a photo album filled with memories from Sam's childhood and our family vacations, hoping it would evoke some of the happiness we once shared. However, Tom merely set the album aside and said, "Enough. I'm not changing my mind. I'm going to divorce you, and I don't care if I never see Sam again." His harsh words stunned me. At that moment, I realized that it was impossible to have a serious conversation with him anymore. Reluctantly, I agreed to a separation. Tom clarified that we weren't divorcing immediately, but I made it clear that if we did divorce, I expected to receive half of his retirement savings, given that we had been married for 30 years. Although upset, Tom reluctantly agreed, knowing I wouldn't sign the divorce papers without that condition. We decided to separate, and Sam, seeing how distressed I was, invited me to stay at his house. He mentioned that Selena had agreed, as she couldn't manage on her own, and suggested that perhaps Tom would come to appreciate me once we were apart. Grateful for Sam's support, I packed my bags and left the house. Tom looked unhappy as he watched me leave, but I knew this was the best decision for the time being. When I arrived at Sam's place, I apologized to Selena for any inconvenience, but she reassured me, saying, "Don't worry about it. Please stay as long as you need." Her warmth and kindness were a stark contrast to the turmoil I had experienced with Tom. Being with my compassionate son and his thoughtful wife felt like a peaceful escape from the emotional strain I had been enduring. Despite agreeing to the separation, I was reluctant to finalize the divorce, suspecting there were other underlying reasons behind Tom's behavior. I wanted to investigate these suspicions but needed money to do so. Realizing I couldn't rely on anyone else to solve my problems, I decided to find a job to fund the investigation myself. I knew that even after the divorce, it would be better to have financial independence, especially since Tom had been treating me so poorly. With my previous experience and a bookkeeping license, I searched for part-time work and found a company that appreciated my 12 years of experience in the industry. I secured the job, which was a crucial step toward gaining the independence I needed. Now, I needed to find a place to live alone and begin my investigation into Tom. When I mentioned this plan to Sam, he insisted, "Mom, you don't need to find a place on your own. Selena and I both agreed that you could live with us if you want. We'd be happy to have you stay." Selena added with a smile, "It would be great if you stayed with us." Their generosity and kindness took me by surprise, and although I was initially unsure, I was deeply touched by their offer. I was deeply touched by Sam and Selena's offer to let me stay with them indefinitely. Their kindness gave me a sense of relief I hadn't felt in a long time. Still, I hesitated, unsure if I should impose on them for too long. I had always prided myself on my independence, and I didn't want to become a burden to my son and his wife. However, Sam and Selena were adamant, insisting that I was welcome for as long as I needed. Their home became a sanctuary for me, a place where I could start to rebuild my life without the constant stress of Tom's cold behavior. As I settled into their home, I focused on my new job. It felt good to be working again, using my skills and experience to contribute to something productive. The company valued my knowledge, and I found myself gradually regaining confidence. Each day at work was a small step toward reclaiming a sense of purpose that I had lost during the difficult years with Tom. While my new routine provided a welcome distraction, I couldn't shake the nagging feeling that there was more to Tom's sudden desire for a divorce. His vague explanation of being tired of the situation didn't add up. I suspected there were deeper issues at play, possibly involving another person or some other hidden factor that he wasn't willing to admit. Determined to uncover the truth, I decided to go ahead with the investigation I had planned. I quietly began setting aside money from my paycheck, knowing I would need to hire a private investigator if I wanted real answers. Despite my resolve to move forward, there were moments when the emotional weight of everything became overwhelming. Late at night, after Sam and Selena had gone to bed, I would sit in the guest room they had prepared for me, trying to make sense of how my life had reached this point. I had devoted 30 years to my marriage, raising a family, and supporting Tom through every challenge. The thought of it all falling apart was heartbreaking. One evening, as I was sitting alone, Selena knocked on the door and gently asked if she could come in. She sat down beside me and, sensing my distress, offered a comforting presence. We talked about everything, my worries about the future, my suspicions about Tom, and the deep sadness I felt over the collapse of our marriage. Selena listened patiently, offering words of encouragement and support. She reassured me that it was okay to grieve the end of my marriage, but also reminded me that I had a loving family who wanted to help me through this difficult time. Her words were a balm to my wounded heart. The days turned into weeks, and slowly, I began to adjust to my new life. Sam and Selena's unwavering support made all the difference, and I started to feel more like myself again. Meanwhile, I continued my quiet investigation into Tom's behavior. I hadn't told Sam about my suspicions or my plans to hire a private investigator. I didn't want to drag him into the mess or make him worry more than he already did. Finally, the day came when I had saved enough money to move forward with the investigation. I reached out to a reputable investigator, explained my situation, and handed over the funds. The investigator assured me that they would be discreet and thorough, promising to uncover the truth, whatever it might be. I felt a mix of anxiety and anticipation as I waited for the results. During this time, I continued to work and live with Sam and Selena, finding solace in their company. My relationship with them grew even closer, and I was grateful for their love and understanding. However, there was always an undercurrent of tension as I waited for the investigator's report, knowing that whatever they found could change everything. When the investigator finally called with the results, I braced myself for the worst. They had uncovered something I had suspected but hadn't wanted to believe. Tom had been involved with another woman for some time. The details were painful, but they made sense of his recent behavior, the emotional distance, the avoidance, the sudden demand for a divorce. It was a betrayal that cut deep, but in a strange way, it also brought a sense of closure. At least now, I knew the truth. Armed with this knowledge, I knew I had some difficult decisions to make. I would have to confront Tom one last time, but this time, I would do so with a clear understanding of what had really been going on. It was time to take control of my future, whatever that might look like. Although the road ahead would be challenging, I felt stronger knowing that I wasn't facing it alone. I had Sam, Selena, and the support of those who truly cared about me. With their help, I could start to build a new life, one where I could find peace and happiness again, free from the shadow of Tom's betrayal. When I visited my son and his wife, I was overjoyed to see their happiness. To my surprise, Lena was pregnant. She had planned to share the news with me on my birthday, but hearing it early was a delightful shock. The news of my grandchild's arrival filled me with excitement and reinforced my decision to expedite my separation from Tom. I quickly engaged a detective agency to investigate Tom, and within a week, I received the results. I was taken aback by the rapid turnaround, but the evidence was unmistakable. Tom had been unfaithful. The investigation revealed that Tom had spent the night at a hotel with a young woman, bringing her to his house where they stayed together until morning. This betrayal seemed to come about because Tom had let his guard down following our separation. I confronted Tom with the evidence, and he was surprised to see me. When I informed him of my readiness for divorce, he appeared pleased and handed me the divorce papers with a smile. He then added that he would not be giving me half of his retirement savings, implying that he intended to give it to his young partner. Although this was not unexpected, it was disheartening. Tom expressed his indifference towards my feelings and suggested that I would regret the divorce. He claimed he never regretted anything and appeared unmoved by the situation. Despite his demeanor, I felt pity for Tom as he seemed oblivious to the gravity of his actions. After completing and returning the divorce papers, Tom continued to boast about his new partner, who was younger, confident, and attractive. Once the divorce was finalized, I set my plans for retribution into motion. I instructed my lawyer to demand half of Tom's retirement savings as part of the property division. Additionally, I sent a certified letter to Tom's workplace, where he was soon to retire. According to my lawyer, Tom was furious when his colleagues treated him coldly due to my actions, and his retirement celebration was notably subdued. Although Tom initially resisted providing me with a share of his retirement funds, I was prepared to take legal action if necessary. In the end, Tom opted to settle the matter by paying me the full amount of his retirement savings in a lump sum. However, Tom's troubles didn't end there. A few months after our divorce, Tom reached out to my son with distressing news. He had attempted to marry his affair partner, but she had left him just before their wedding. She had also wanted to open a restaurant, which she convinced Tom to fund using his retirement money. Tom, pressured by the high demand for the restaurant location, hastily signed a contract. Shortly after receiving his retirement payment, Tom found the location still available for rent and discovered he had been scammed. Despite contacting the police, no progress was made in the investigation, and Tom was left without recourse. While it's unfortunate that Tom ended up in such a predicament, I don't feel sympathy for him. His difficulties are a direct result of his own choices and the affair. I am now focused on my work and cherishing time with my son, his wife, and my future grandchildren. Tom's foolish decisions led to his downfall, and I'm relieved to be moving forward with a supportive family rather than a troubled husband. I hope Tom's former partner finds peace and fulfills her dreams. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to our channel, and see you in the next video.